TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode and Happy New Year. I'm happy to welcome today's guest, Charisse Walker. She's an author, coach, entrepreneur. Today's talk is going to be all about real estate. She's also a podcast host, and I'm happy to welcome her to the show. She's got a remarkable journey of self-discovery and bravery. And welcome, Charisse.
Thank you for having me. Welcome to you as well.
Yeah, you have an amazing story and a journey. So kind of set the stage, talk about breaking the cycle and healing and into the work that you're doing now.
Okay. So I actually, it was about 9 years ago that my whole dream was always to be a stay-at-home mom. And I finally had the opportunity, but I had to make a choice. And the choice was either follow my dream of being that stay-at-home mom or continuing to work 70 hours a week and neglecting my children who had special needs and definitely needed me there. So we chose to be able to focus on our family. And my husband, I was divorced and then remarried, so I was able to finally quit. But that actually brought some downsides, and we ended up having to go on food stamps. So when we were on food stamps, it's embarrassing. You're at the Walmart checkout, and there's a 5 o'clock line, traffic where all the people are coming to get their food before they go home to cook. And I pull out my food stamps, and everyone's like, so it's totally embarrassing, humiliating. And I thought there's got to be a better way. So I decided to start looking into real estate investing. And about that same time, I got a call from a family member who said, hey, I have this great family opportunity and let's invest in real estate in Honduras. So I thought, I don't feel good about this at all. But, when you have your parents call you, Charisse, this is a great opportunity. And, we're going all in because another family member, and I chose to create a relationship with that family member, because I missed how close we used to be. So I thought, perfect opportunity. We wouldn't lose very much money. It's okay. So long story short, we did lose about $200,000. And so, just recovering from food stamps. And I had called this person because I ended up mortgaging my home so that we could do this because he couldn't get the funding. And so now, food stamps way worse off than we ever were. And so that's where real estate investing came into play. So it's a difficult journey. And it was one that I thought, I'm not going to sit there and be this victim and say, woe is me. We're going to be destitute and financially destitute for the rest of our lives. And so I really just took a leap of faith and said, okay, I've learned this information. You can only take so much and keep learning. Now it's time to implement. So I did. I made an offer on a house, not knowing what the heck I was going to do, and jumped in, and we did very well, and then continued to progress. And so we started flipping homes.
Interesting. And this was before the '08 crash, afterwards?
2016.
2016. Okay. So, okay. All right. Yeah, like I said, real estate is one of those asset classes that you can, because you're commanding, such a large, property. So it's, you can get financially free and financially because you're talking about big money. Yeah. And your journey from financial struggle to success is truly inspiring. And a lot of people in your same shoes, they're scared in this realm where they have a job and they cling on to it. They can't make the leap. What made you just take the leap and go for it?
I think, everything happens for a reason, right? And so I was a successful director of proprietary colleges, and I had actually opened a college in the valley where I was. And so I was divorced at the time, or going through a divorce. So I had 4 kids from 3 to 10 years old, and I sent them up to live with their aunt and uncle and dad for a month. Because I'd come at 8 a.m, I'd leave the next day at noon, and I never went home. I stayed there and continued to work. So I was working ridiculous hours and just pushing forward. And, my campus, we got accreditation. I showed up the week later. My boss was there with some other guy, and he said, hey, meet your new replacement.
Mm.
What?
Wow.
We had gotten accreditation for, a dental hygiene program, a nursing program, several different things in addition. And so I just thought, wow, how could I sacrifice so much and to be slapped in the face? And the reason why was because the CEO's really good friend lived in Florida and wanted to move to Utah, needed a job. So at that point, I think that sparked my desire to realize never again do I want to work for somebody else, because it's so unstable. And so that probably was how I started.
Interesting. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of the listeners can resonate with those type of stories, getting stabbed in the back and betrayed and, just like I said, so what kind of your first steps to freedom? And many of the listeners are curious about starting their journey into real estate investment. They feel overwhelmed. What are the initial small steps you took, and what advice would you give?
You need to get with somebody who knows what they're doing. It is so competitive. Back in 2016, it was competitive, but now it's really competitive. If people go online, there are so many people, and think about how many postcards, text messages, are you thinking of selling your home? That do you get all the time? And so, I think that the big thing is you really do need to align yourself with somebody who knows what they're doing, because interest rates are like triple what they were even a year ago. And so it's difficult. So the first thing that you need to do, stop consuming and just start doing, but align yourself with someone who knows what they're doing. And so I created this method. It's called the F.L.Y method. So the first one is you have to figure out your finances. Then you have to leverage who you're with, and then you have to know your why. So if you can figure out, like I teach 7 different methods to investing. And so figuring out what your goals are and what you want to accomplish first.
And I love this F.L.Y method that you talk about, and we can reference those in the links in the show notes. Your goal is to empower 100,000 real estate investors to create at least 5,000 per month passive income by 2033. Delve into some of the key strategies you teach for generating passive income through real estate.
Okay, so the big thing is, again, you got to go back to your why, and you have to know where you're at. So think about all the baby boomers out there. My dad, I overheard him talking to some scammer that said, trying to get their money, and he goes, I'm on a fixed income. And I die when I hear that, because how many people are living paycheck to paycheck right now? Yeah. And so my goal is to help people realize that you don't have to, that there's another way. And even if you don't have any money, there's so many people that use other people's money. So there's so many opportunities. And in America, with all of our, there's so much wealth and abundance that's out there. And so I want them to be able to realize that they can have the American dream. They can be happy and not have to live paycheck to paycheck. So that's my motivation.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of interesting because I was talking to another guest, and they were talking about like people work so hard to save $1 million, but then when they go to retire, they can only withdraw 30,000, whatever it is. I said, I don't really subscribe to traditional models, but they say, you have to live on 30,000 a year, but you work so hard to save and invest $1 million, which really doesn't make any sense. Same thing that you're talking about. Turning trauma into triumph. Aside from your financial expertise, you focus on personal growth, and kind of talk about your personal experiences shape your approach to life and business, and the advice you would give.
Okay. All right. So we've all had trauma in our lives, right? I don't know of one person that hasn't had something bad happen to them. And so we can all be victims, and we can all, woe is me, and be this sad person that doesn't do anything and just becomes this victim in life. And so my goal is to be able to take that trauma, recognize the trauma and how it affects our lives, and then be able to turn that trauma into triumph. And so it could be like when I was teaching college. I remember being 22 years old, and I was teaching college. Most of them were men. It was a proprietary school. And so listening to their journey as they walked in the doors into the first quarter, they're like, I've been called stupid my whole life. I've told I've never amount to anything. None of my family's ever gotten an education. And so taking them, because I taught them several different quarters throughout the 2 years, 4 years, and watching them walk across that graduation stage, like beaming with their shoulders back. They're so proud of themselves. They know and have a confidence now. And so for me, taking those things and helping people believe and tap into their beliefs that, you know what, you don't have to believe that narrative. You don't have to listen to that. And let's create something more positive with you and for you. So that's really the book. It's much different. It's called Flipping the Iceberg that I wrote, but it's, you know, and it's dealing with relationships, but you can take it into any situation, because if you have to take that trauma and realize it's not going to define me, and I'm going to make something of myself, and I'm going to achieve my dreams. I'm going to accomplish what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And what a fantastic way to end on an inspiring note. How can people find out more about you?
So if you want to learn more about real estate and how to invest, you can go to www.flyfreeretiree.com. If you want to learn about my books or personal coaching, then it's CharisseWalker.com.
And for all the audience out there listening, Charisse for coming on and, you know, sharing such a powerful story. And be sure to reach out to her on her social media links. And with that, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.